You listened to him on the KVJ show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Bremen Motor Cars and by Wellington Anti-Aging. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
Well, here we go. Welcome to Kevin's Other Show. Got Ricky, Bobby, and Diener in here with me today.
Yep.
Diener coming off that very exciting night of WWE Raw last night.
I was going to say, where was he? Disney?
I still have some, sweat left on me from the guys who were just flying into the barricade front row there last night.
Yeah, look at you, boy.
Yeah.
I guess when you got a talk wrestling show on AM, you get some perks, huh?
Magic happens.
Dang.
But you also don't shower? I'm confused.
Listen, it was exciting.
I'm listening.
That's my souvenir, is to have Seth Rollins' sweat left on my arm.
What happened last night? Rollins was wrestling, right?
Okay.
They had, what are they, 8-man tag teams? Is that what went down?
No, you know what? I think they scrapped the 8-man tag team, but he was one of the highlights. He was one of the big matches. Brock Lesnar was there, Ronda Rousey. They all came out last night.
Because they do that just because they're there, they don't wrestle. Brock Lesnar was just there to, talk smack, right?
Yeah, it ended up pretty much being like a 3-hour promo with him. It was this whole thing. They were going to fire his manager if he didn't come out. And finally, at the very end of the show, which, by the way, with 1% left on my phone, I was able to get the picture of Brock Lesnar before my phone died. And that's how the end. He just destroyed everybody in the ring and body slammed Kurt Angle. And that's how they ended the show.
How was Ronda Rousey? Is she just cringy on the mic, or is...
She's so bad. It's gotten so bad with her on the mic that they don't even give her the mic anymore. She's just there to make mean faces and beat people up now.
I was going to say, doesn't she have a talking piece? Isn't Kurt Angle like her talking piece?
No, they're kind of on and get off.
So you get a talking piece when you suck on the mic. Is that how wrestling works? So if you're just cringing, you're like, bad acting, then you're so bad someone else has to do the acting for you.
Correct.
And then you just mean mug the entire time. So
Yes.
Ronda Rousey is so bad now, she's not allowed to talk because she's an awful actress.
Right.
She's not believable, so they're just just look angry.
I mean, have you seen Fast and the Furious? She's a bad actress.
She was in one of those?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
The one where they go to Saudi Arabia, where Paul Walker jumps that car through the building. It was that one.
Paul Walker.
Yeah. It was the last one before he passed away. Whatever it was, 7 or 6. I can't keep track of him anymore.
Didn't he die in the second one or the fourth one?
Come on,
or
man.
something?
No. But it was a good time.
Okay.
And she's just really bad on the mic. That's why Paul Heyman is with Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar can't speak without cursing.
Yeah,
It's
he was great at UCF when he got in the octagon. I mean, that was awesome, but he was dropping MFers and everything, man. I'm like, wow.
He can't cut a promo without cursing, so they just don't let him talk.
And you
in
don't.
WWE.
So that's the difference.
Right.
UFC, you can curse. WWE, you can't because you got a bunch of kids there.
Family friendly.
Gosh. All right. Okay.
Family friendly.
It
I
is.
never understood that about the WWE. WWE had women wrestling in it. The reason why I stopped watching WWE was because of the women. Them fighting back in the day was just who's going to rip their top off first.
Oh, that's what it was
Did that
all
really
about.
happen?
That was the way it was when it was Sable and China and it
Tops
was
would come off.
That's what it would always be like. Whose top's gonna fall off first? I'm like, this isn't wrestling, and I stopped watching for a long time. Now you watch the wrestling; they're better than the men 90% of the time.
Absolutely. They're having their first ever women's pay-per-view, all women pay-per-view in October because they've gotten that good. It's completely different.
They're really
than
good.
what it was.
I used to love the cruiserweight class because the small little guys are flying all over the
Yes.
place. Now you see these women wrestling just as hard as the heavyweight class and flying all over the place like cruiserweight class.
You guys watch that show Glow?
You know,
with Mark Maron? No, I want to though.
Yeah, my oldest son. Who
I was gonna
is-
say,
yeah,
isn't your son
I got
like a
two.
child?
Yeah, I got a 10-year-old. I got a 20-year-old. The 20-year-old has been watching that. He's not into wrestling at all and loves that show.
I've heard it's nominated for Emmys. Surprisingly, I have not seen it, but I've heard it's very good.
He said it's great, so I guess
Yeah.
you can get into that without even watching women's wrestling.
We just spent 4 minutes talking about wrestling. By the
Not
way.
enough time, in my opinion. I roped you guys into that. Tricked you.
What do we prep for?
Got some football stuff. We'll get into the good stuff here. There's not really any Dolphins stuff to do, so I'll do a quick recap. So they didn't have any camp today. They were off. So,
What are they doing? They can't take an off day.
I know, right? Seems like they just started, right? Wait, you get an off day already?
Not only that, but they need the work. Get out there.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing? Dolphins taking an off day. It's like
Yes.
the Browns taking an off day.
Yesterday we were debating because there were a couple fights that happened at camp yesterday. It was Bobby McCain was fighting Danny Amendola, and then you had Minka Fitzpatrick up against Jakeem Grant. They were just kind of like jarring back and forth, and I was like, okay, I didn't know how like intense the fights were. I still haven't seen video on it, but they say neither one of the fights, nobody's like ripping off helmets and swinging. They were heated, but relatively tame. And we were talking about whether it's a good thing or a bad thing yesterday, and Tannehill said that he loves to see the passion, but as long as it's not a distraction, it's good. But if it starts taking away from what we're trying to do, then it's a little too much. So that was his take on it.
Yeah, see, that's the fine line. If it becomes an actual problem in the locker room where guys aren't getting along anymore, yeah, exactly. That's the difference.
I saw Omar Kelly's Twitter feed. A couple questions and answers that he was giving to people on there was linebacker play, biggest concern for the Dolphins right now. Still some questions about the offensive line, I think, too, even though they're saying they look great. But that's coming from the offensive line.
Those are the guys on the offensive line.
The guys on the offensive line.
Hey, guys, you're right there. Oh, we're awesome.
They're saying they look great. So just so you know, the Dolphins' offensive line thinks we're the best.
Nice.
Minka Fitzpatrick is projected to be the backup nickel, and he's not really been a playmaker so far in 1 week.
That's really depressing. But, I mean, look. He's
it takes a little bit to get. You're not playing. I mean, yes, you're playing in Alabama. So you're playing top teams, but you're not playing all professional. So give him a little bit of time.
Yeah, and it's maybe where he fits in the defense too. Fales and Osweiler both look decent. Apparently, Bryce Petty not looking great though, and he thinks that the Dolphins might want to go hit the waiver wire for another decent young QB. So it doesn't sound like he's bringing it.
Or a young QB, a decent QB in general.
Listen,
it doesn't make a difference because he's not a decent QB. He's a terrible QB.
Yeah, Bryce Petty's really not a good football player.
He had one chance, and he couldn't get rid of the ball with the Jets, and he was knocked so far back into his college days because he could not get rid of the ball. He was so terrified that he almost got a safety for the Jets in the one time that he was out there.
Doesn't sound like he's bringing it. Everybody seems to be raving about Tannehill, though. They seem to like what he's doing.
What else are you going to rave about?
That's my guy. Never had
got really nice grass on this practice field.
Listen. That's my guy. Never had doubt in Tannehill. Never once trashed him.
Smoking rock.
Always have confidence.
There's something that's going down this year, though, that a lot of people were really upset about. And I didn't fully understand Roquan Smith from the Bears. He's a rookie linebacker there, but he's holding out on his contract all because of this new helmet contact rule that's going to be in effect this year in the NFL. And apparently it is a mess where it's not well defined. They had referees in a room watching game film trying to say from last year, is this the penalty or not? Half of them said it was, half said it wasn't.
Nice. Just what we need, more inconsistency in the reffing.
So the referees themselves, they don't understand what the rule is.
Oh, God.
The new helmet contact rule prohibits any use of the helmet to, quote, butt, spear, or ram an opponent. Now, it sounds more ambiguous than the language they had last year. They took out the words violently or unnecessarily, which to me actually adds clarity, right?
Yes.
Violently or unnecessarily. But now when you're saying butt, spear, or ram an opponent, the rule makes an exception for incidental contact, but that seems to be what a lot of people are fighting with. Like Richard Sherman said, look, on a good form tackle, guys are going to lead with their shoulder pads, but you bring your head. It's just the way it goes. You can't detach your head from your shoulders.
Right.
He said they're going to see how ridiculous it is once they make the refs try to call it. And I think you're seeing that from some of the practice runs they're getting. The refs are just like,
they don't know what to do.
He said it's going to be worse than holding, worse than the catch rule. It's going to be a disaster. And Roquan Smith from the Bears, he's holding out because his guaranteed money is contingent on him getting suspended because of this new rule. And he's like, look, I don't want to be penalized on a bogus rule that the referees in the league can't get on the same page and even understand themselves. That's not fair to me.
It's just another way to slow down the game even more.
Well, you're going to see penalties, game-changing penalties, that are going to be happening here for what used to be considered quality tackles.
Just normal tackle. Like,
Right.
What are we doing here?
Games are going to be spun around, won or lost. Vegas lines, with now that legalized gambling, is going to be thrown into a quagmire because you're not going to know.
It's going to be a mess.
Players aren't going to know. The refs aren't going to know. Nobody's going to know, and the league can't even define it.
If the refs don't know, then no one knows.
Correct.
And the refs are the only ones that need to know.
And they don't know.
So what do we do? Are we playing football?
And that's the bad thing about it, is that the referees, you have to remember, these guys are working men just like anybody else, with bosses who watch what they do, and they get in trouble if they're not doing their jobs correctly. So they're going to be thinking about covering their own butts on the field and be like, I better call this, because if I don't, I'm going to get penalized from my bosses.
They'll probably be more trigger happy to call it. And they say right now the officials can't distinguish between what would be incidental contact and contact worthy of a penalty. So if you're just kind of falling into somebody, again, you can't detach your head from your shoulders.
Yes.
You could be falling into somebody and your head hits their head or whatever, and whoop, there goes the flag.
This is bad.
And that's going to change drives and games and everything else. It's going to be a big deal.
It's going to change a good quarterback from every quarterback, because all you're going to see teams doing now is just chucking it into the air and praying for a personal foul. And that's how some bad quarterbacks got through. They just chucked it into the air. If you manage to get it around you and you get hit and this penalty gets thrown off, then you get at the spot of the foul. So just keep chucking it.
Well, if you do bring up a point, the fact that if teams start understanding the weaknesses of this penalty, they might start finding ways to expose it for their own benefit, which isn't good football plays.
No.
It's just exposing a bad rule, which doesn't make the game better. It makes the game a lot worse.
So here we go. This year, fantasy football, wide receivers will be your number one commodity.
Yeah.
Could change things like that. I don't think anybody knows at this point. But
yeah, I mean, to me, that's exactly what I think of. Because there's some really bad quarterbacks that's what they do. They just chuck it up in the at the end of a game. What do? When you're trying to get down the field, all you're trying to do is get a penalty, spot of the foul, and then you can be able to get yards that were unnecessary. So now if they're going to be trigger happy on the flags all the time, what the hell are they going to do? They're just going to chuck it in the air. Running backs are just going to be guards. That's all they're going to be.
Yeah, probably. So that's going to be one of the big hot buttons it's going to hit.
Get ready.
Well,
and crap.
It'll be interesting to see. Will it start showing itself in some of the preseason games that we've got? And will that give the league time to adjust it and better define it before you get to the regular season?
Hopefully.
You would hope. Who knows? Interesting statement I got to play for you from LeBron James, maybe one that you might have missed. Was he basically comparing his situation and going to the Lakers this coming year to when he came to the Miami Heat in 2010? And is it the same situation? We'll talk about it next.
Yep, he's here too. It's Kevin's Other Show, right here on 640 The Hurricane.
For a second, I thought this was Adele.
Stop.
And I was like, what are you doing?
You can't put it past me these days with what I choose. You never know what I'm going to come back with.
No. He's gone off the D. He's still smelling the sweat of other men on him.
Well, interesting comment. LeBron James was opening up a school in Akron, Ohio, his hometown, and it kind of opened up the door, too, to a lot of interviews. And interesting comments about how he chose the Lakers, how much time. You've probably heard some of those comments. He was, considering the Sixers was one of it. And does he go to the Rockets? And maybe even going back to the Cavaliers, and eventually landed on going to the Lakers. But one thing he talked about, is he here comparing going to this upcoming season's Lakers team versus when he came to Miami with the Big Three in 2010?
Just like when I went to Miami, everyone kind of looks at me joining a super team. But if people look at, I think Miami was 35 and 47, the year before I joined that team. And you can look at the Lakers, record from. So I like the challenge. I like the challenge of being able to, help a team get to some places that they haven't been in quite a while.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to fully understand exactly what LeBron means by that, because he can't believe that he's coming into a similar situation, right? And I the only reason why I think maybe he does is because shouldn't the Miami Heat's record from 2009 be completely irrelevant? Because, I mean, who was the second best player on the Heat?
Oh, it was Michael Beasley.
Okay, Michael Beasley.
Yeah, Michael Beasley, that guy.
Okay, so things kind of turned around a little bit in 2010 when you added, Chris Bosh and
just
LeBron
a bit.
James
and you know what? For a guy like LeBron James, who has the photographic memory, and the reporters were in awe of how he could describe it, every detail of the play during the finals. Yeah, he's wrong about the Heat's record, by the way. before he joined the team.
Well, he went a little, it's a little Rain Man. He went backwards on it.
He went backwards on it. They were actually 47-35. They were in the playoffs before he joined the team. They lost to the Celtics in the first round.
I thought he was the basketball historian.
That's what I thought.
I think maybe he's got himself confused because 2017-2018 Lakers, they were 35-47, 11th seed in the West. Did not qualify for the playoffs.
So is there any comparison between the two situations at all? And is he trying to make that comparison?
I think he's trying to say that the team was crap before I was there, and when I got there, it was good. I think that's basically what he's saying. Now, not necessarily maybe saying that it's going to be the large grandeur of the 2010 Heat, but maybe somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it sounds like, well, first off, the situations are completely different, and they're not even comparable.
Well, because you don't have a Chris Bosh and a Dwayne Wade.
Right, playing with them in their
Kyle
prime.
Kuzma and a
Lonzo Ball.
Yeah,
give me a break. So,
yeah, okay. So the pieces we know he has right now are not comparable. Now, there is a possibility that after 1 year in Toronto, that Kawhi Leonard comes and joins him.
Right.
And then if we're talking about Kawhi Leonard, then we were saying, okay, you do
That's
have
still one though.
It's still a very good team, though, because he's like a baby LeBron, almost.
Right, and you have an Ingram, arguably. I mean, I don't know if he would be comparable to the third big piece, but you've got more of a comparison if you got Kawhi Leonard thrown into the mix, and who knows, next year with free agency, who else he might be able to grab.
Yeah, I think what he was trying to say there is that I came to a bad team in the Heat, which they weren't. Like I said, they were in the first round of the playoffs, and they were above 12 games, above 500. But I think what he was trying to say was I came to a bad team with the Heat, and everybody thought it was like this big thing, and now I'm coming to a bad team in the Lakers, and look how that worked out. This can work out too. I think that's what he's trying to get at there.
Okay, so we're maybe just giving him the benefit of the doubt that we think maybe LeBron misspoke a little bit.
Yeah, no, but either way, he's just 100% incorrect. And you would think the guy who was in the situation could make a good comparison.
Okay,
it's just a terrible comparison.
If that's what's going on, because I was very confused by that. Maybe he knows something that we don't know. I've told you before that my 10-year-old son keeps insisting that Kobe Bryant is coming back, and I'm like, but he's saying like it's already a done deal. And I'm
he has his sources, man. Yeah.
And he keeps finding these bunk sports apps on his phone that, I mean, they're nothing but just lies. They have the most ridiculous things. Like,
where'd you read that? Bootysports.com.
Yeah, like Babe Ruth is coming to the Marlins. I mean, there's just the most unbelievable headlines that you see.
The rumors are true. Babe Ruth was black.
Yeah, but is it possible Shaquille O'Neal is adding some fuel to my son's fire? He says, wait, Kobe is coming back.
Kobe coming back, I heard.
Was that Kobe? Bring Kobe back too?
Kobe coming back, I heard he was. You heard it here first.
Kobe is coming back.
Come on,
You
Shaq.
heard it here first.
It sounds asinine. When my 10-year-old son tells me that Kobe is coming back, it seems asinine. Is it asinine?
Actually, Shaq is wrong. You did not hear it here first. You heard it from your son first.
You're right.
So your son actually scooped Shaq.
You're right.
Yeah, we broke the news right here on Kevin Zeller's show.
Yeah.
He's late to the game.
Is it asinine? Kobe's almost 40 years old. He's not played for 2 years. He had 3 injury-plagued seasons before that. But, if you remember back to his last game, it was pretty strong. I mean, I'm sure that the defense was laying up a little bit for Grandpa Kobe, who scored 60 points in his very last game. Mm-hmm. If Kobe were healthy, if Kobe came back, he wouldn't even be the oldest player in the NBA. You still got three 40-plus-year-olds. You've got Dirk Nowitzki, Vince Carter, Manu Ginobili.
Oh, it's right.
Manu Ginobili still plays.
My
gosh.
So
you're weirded out by Manu Ginobili? Vince Carter just signed a new contract.
That's true.
Okay, so is it so unrealistic? Does Shaq and my 10-year-old son know something that we don't, that maybe LeBron does too when he's comparing the situation, saying coming to the Lakers is like going to the 2010 Heat because he's got maybe another member of the Big Three. And, okay, if Kobe were healthy, is there any way? To me, I think of what Michael Jordan was when he was playing for, was it the Charlotte Bobcats?
Oh, when he was playing for the Wizards.
The Wizards.
But he did that. You know the reason why he went to the Wizards, right? Because he was originally supposed to buy the Wizards. He was going to be the owner of the Wizards.
Yeah.
So he did that as a favor to the current owner that he would eventually be buying it.
But is that what somebody who is an NBA great looks like when they're playing at the age of 40?
That's actually, I hope not. If Kobe came back, I would hope he'd be better than that.
I think he still made the playoffs that year, though.
They did, actually.
Yeah.
And he made the All-Star game. Ricky brings up an interesting point, actually, because that was part of Jordan's move. He eventually became the owner.
Right.
There is speculation out there that Kobe will eventually end up in a front office position, whether it's the GM or part owner of the Lakers. So maybe there is something to this where it's kind of like a Jordan type of situation.
But you already have
It's the
LeBron.
same.
But this is the thing: is that there was nobody on the Wizards before. I mean, he went over there, and then he went up buying the Charlotte Bobcats instead. But he went over there to be able to bring hype to that team. There's already hype in the First of all, it's the LA Lakers
is asinine.
and
Guys, this is asinine.
But wait.
Asinine.
But this is another
connect the dots.
possibility. This is another possibility.
asinine.
How long do you think Luke Walton is going to last?
I think Luke Walton could do okay.
Okay.
Right?
How long do you think Luke Walton is going to last?
A year? Can we
No, I
maybe
think
a year?
Longer than a year?
Well, why do you think only a year? Why do you think Luke Walton is like on his way out?
Well, because I think maybe they might have another idea for a head coach.
Like who? What are you getting at here?
Maybe Kobe Bryant?
No.
So Kobe ends up being the head, like a coach player? Was he Bill Russell?
Why would he play?
So just the head
It's
coach.
just coach. Why is that so out there?
And then that way Shaq's not lying. Kobe is coming back. But no, they're not going to get rid of Luke Walton right now.
I didn't say right now.
Maybe in a year.
Maybe in a year.
Okay, and you want Kobe's first coaching job? A guy trying to manage
What the
young
hell is it a
talent
coach? You have
and
LeBron James.
Why would you not just keep Luke, a guy who's got experience in there and is plugged in? No, I don't think it makes any sense.
I mean, he coached, 2 years?
Maybe to the front office, Kobe's coming back. You're right. And
Yeah.
I could see that. That would make sense. Bringing him onto the court would be a disaster. He loves
I don't
chucking
think
up
he
the
should
ball.
play,
He's not
yeah.
going to come off the bench, which he would probably have to.
Right.
Egos aside, it would be a disaster.
To be fair to Luke Walton, he was the head coach when Steve Kerr was out with the Warriors, and he did okay. I mean, granted, he had one of the greatest teams in NBA history at the helm,
non-comparable.
but he was still there, and he did all right.
Non-comparable.
They went on like a 22-game win streak when he was the head coach.
I mean, did you look at the team that they had?
Yeah, but
I
I'm
mean,
just
it
saying.
wasn't like he was out there coaching the current Heat.
Listen, he didn't crash the Corvette, is all I'm trying to say.
Well,
So
that was
maybe
his
he'll do
only
okay.
job. Your only job is to get it from my garage to your garage
Yes.
without hitting a friggin' mailbox.
Maybe
That's
he'll
all
do
I need you to do.
Maybe he'll do all right.
I'm going to say this is total, complete, dumb speculation. Is there any chance Kobe comes back, coach or play?
No, I'm saying no.
And
I
there's
think he's
no
done.
way.
The guy's
No
too
way.
busy
Ricky
winning
Bobby,
Oscars.
come on, man.
He's definitely going to be in the front office though. That'll eventually
That makes
happen.
sense.
That'll
Okay,
eventually happen.
I get that.
That's the only way I can see this making sense. If he comes back for a season to help the stock of the
Right.
Lakers rise
And I think-
so he can go into a front office role.
I think Kobe coming back at his age is different than even Dirk Nowitzki doing what he's doing. I think it's temperament, situation, everything else. That's why
Dirk
even
Nowitzki retired 4 years ago. They just haven't told him yet. He keeps showing up. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, Dirk, you're here. Might as well get in the game.
yeah, but he's chill with it. He's good with it. Kobe would not be.
No.
Coming up here in a minute, which is the worst contract for Miami sports? The one that Wei Yin Chen has with the Marlins or Hassan Whiteside with the Miami Heat? We'll compare and contrast coming up next.
Think Loria did a bad job? Wait till you hear this crap. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
Just so sick of seeing game after game that Wei Yin Chen is coming out and blowing for the Marlins. Another one last night. I mean, you're playing in Atlanta. You're playing against the Braves. Solid team. But Wei Yin Chen allows 5 runs in 5 innings. Not a great outing.
No bueno.
No. His
This guy.
road ERA is atrocious.
He's atrocious.
10.47 ERA.
Oh my good gosh! Come on. This whole thing's gonna depress me. I just want to let you know right now.
Well, here's the thing, and I just keep looking. I'm like, okay, well, here we are, stumbling into the trade deadline here.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, gosh, man, how great would it be? So often the Marlins break my heart with the trades they make. They could actually make me happy with this one. Mm-hmm. Could they get rid of Wei Yin Chen? No, you can't get rid of Wei Yin Chen. It's not because of anything he does. It's because of what he's owed. He's guaranteed $42 million over the next 2 years.
Jesus Christ.
Come on.
$42 million, $20 million next year, $22 million in 2020. He's making $10 this year, third best on the Marlins roster.
You couldn't give him away if you wrapped him in bacon
Who's
and
taking
deep
that?
fried him.
Who's taking a 10.47? And it's a road ERA, to be fair. He's a lot better at home with the 2.18 mark, but I mean, still, it's just not anything that is worthy of the money that you're making.
I mean, good gosh. Like, this is one of the worst. Okay, so the I told you this is going to be bad
Down,
for me.
Diener.
Good gosh.
Get down.
No,
Yeah.
I told you I was
You
gonna
can
work
tell
up.
Diener is pissed.
Oh, darn it.
Good gosh, guys.
Yes.
This conversation for me has changed to what's the worst contract, Wei Yin Chen or Hassan Whiteside, to is this the worst contract in sports history? $42 million he's owed over the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He is one of the worst statistical pitchers on the road and maybe in general
It's a trouble.
in Major League Baseball.
It's unbelievable. I just don't even know what they thought they saw when they got this, but he obviously has not brought it. And, hey, I guess it's the deals that you sign, whatever. But, I mean, just to put it in perspective, JT Realmuto, who I think arguably is the Marlins' best player right now, this season he's making $2.9 million to Wei Yin Chen's 10.
That's got to be upsetting.
This season. Next season, there's nothing on Realmuto for the books. They're going to have to, figure out what they're going to do, paying him next year. But, you're looking at next year, $22 million for Wei Yin Chen. Okay, so which one is the contract that makes you more sick to your stomach, Wei Yin Chen or the Hassan Whiteside for the Miami Heat? Which one is more despicable and disgusting and really more of an albatross to the franchise? Which one hurts the franchise more?
I think it has to be Hassan Whiteside because that team has the most upside out of the two of them, and his contract is hindering them so much and trying to be able to bring somebody in.
Right.
That they'll either go and get somebody that will spend a lot of money, spend the rest of their cap space on, or they'll just get another bunch of pieces and never be able to do anything with them.
Who's harder to move?
Oh, Wei Yin Chen. Absolutely.
With the contract, yeah.
Yeah, just because of
Absolutely.
that contract, and he's not showing anything as the reason why someone would want to pick up that contract.
Exactly. That's something.
It's
At least
awful.
Hassan Whiteside, he didn't
There's
play
still
that great,
potential
but there's a
there.
lot of potential in the kid, regardless. But
So
your
the-
only way of getting rid of Wei Yin Chen is hoping he dies at this point in time.
And they still have to pay out.
Yeah, they probably still have to pay.
They're still stuck with the
funeral
contract.
services and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But you hope he chokes on a piece of sushi and it's over.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to get rid of him at this point in time.
Does that count against the cap if he dies?
I don't know.
I don't want to make
I-
it sound like because something's going to happen to him and he's going to mysteriously be murdered, and they're going to be using this in a court of law. Where you go, look, I
No,
swear,
no.
man.
Listen.
Well, I mean,
As long as you pick up the sushi bill, I think you're okay.
But you're telling me one thing, but are you
What's wrong
saying
with you?
are you then making the argument that the Wei Yin Chen contract is actually worse than the Hassan Whiteside because
Yeah, I
he
am.
is that's the
Yeah.
worst contract.
because at least for me it is because
Out of the two of them, yes.
Yeah.
with Hassan, you can see there was a situation there. He seemed like one of the best steals in the past 15 years in the NBA with the way that he was playing for Miami under that contract where they just signed him out of the YMCA. So and then they literally
he was playing
had-
in Milwaukee. Why?
That's what I'm saying. And they had no one else. You have to remember when they signed that contract with Hassan, Bosch had the health issues and he was gone. Wade suddenly left for Chicago. So all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, we have to give this money to somebody, and now he seems like our best piece.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he just became terrible. So with Hassan, you can at least
Complacent.
understand.
He became complacent.
Yes,
He's
complacent.
still good, but he just doesn't want to whip it out.
And that's the thing. You can see that there's still potential there. That's what Pat Riley sees too. He knows that there's still something there he can get out of Hassan. With Wei Yin Chen, it's just a really bad decision.
It's a very bad decision.
I just don't understand because, I mean, we're seeing this time and time again. I mean, just looking at Miami, and that's just one city throughout the league, and I'm sure
Yeah.
every city probably has their own contracts like this. Why can't they get to a system where the contracts are based on your output? And I could see putting a clause in there for injuries, saying, look, I can't perform if I'm injured.
Sushi
So,
death.
so I want to say, but
Jeez.
he's completely healthy. He just sucks.
He's just very bad.
So, I mean, a performance-based contract where you're paid based on what you're doing. He's not worth $10 million this year. He's not going to be worth 22, more than double what he's making this year to suck on the field. Next year, why is it that sports can't get into performance-based contracts with the exemption that you do get hurt and then you get guaranteed money?
That would open up a whole can of worms.
And
I
it might be
mean,
challenging, but I
yeah.
mean, my gosh, these franchises are like, you're cursed. Look at two Miami teams, cursed with awful contracts with guys who were signed to big deals that they're not living up to.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's but there's an upside to the white side. That's weird.
Okay.
There is, because he still has play in him. Wei Yin Chen just sucks. He just sucks. And whoever was the one that made that decision, you suck.
It was Loria, wasn't it? Wasn't that a Loria Samson move?
Loria made the move last year.
I mean, I don't understand Derek Jeter should have gave up half the field to try and get rid of him.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, when do you move this guy? 22 next year, 20 the year after? I mean,
he really should have been so bossy with the Yankees and said, "Listen, I'll give you. I don't want anything back.
You guys can take it. You guys can pay
I will
it.
give you.
Right.
I will give you
But you have
Giancarlo.
to
But
take
you
Wei Yin
gotta
Chen.
take this guy the hell
You
out of here.
have to take Wei Yin Chen.
Please, for the
and
love of God,
pay
it's a
him.
battery pack.
You guys can absorb the hit, the luxury tax. We can't.
Yeah, exactly. It's 100%. You guys got all the money in the world. We're trying to just sell Cubanos to pay for the stadium.
Yeah. Well, is there any excitement tonight? The World Cup is over, but soccer lives on.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, man.
Well, there is tonight. I guess I don't think this means anything. It's Manchester United though versus Real Madrid at Hard Rock Stadium.
Is it a friendly?
I think so.
It's a friendly,
I don't
isn't
think
it?
it means
Yeah.
anything. I think
Stupid.
It's
It's stupid.
It's stupid.
It's stupid.
No, it's not
Friendlies
stupid.
are stupid.
How did they do? I think they had a match with Manchester City. I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Was it on Saturday? I didn't see it. Like, how'd they do attendance wise? Is Hard Rock going to be full for this tonight?
Probably.
It is.
Full of stupid
It's going to be
people.
packed.
Oh, it's gonna be packed. It is not stupid.
Packed
It's
of
fun.
stupid people.
You get to see some of the. Now, I'm not sure if some of these guys like Messi and the different Neymar and all these guys are going to be at this match, but you still get to see some of the best competition in the world coming to your home stadium. I told you guys before when I went to go see Brazil and Colombia a couple of years ago. That was one of the most exciting packed stadiums I've ever been in my life, and that was a friendly.
Okay, does this do anything?
Stupid.
Because you got a vote coming up in November that citizens of Miami-Dade are going to decide about this measure for the public golf course and whether or not we're going to be able to rework deals and put a soccer stadium on that golf course instead.
Mm-hmm.
Is this any kind of exhibition tonight where if, let's just say, maybe the attendance tanks on this, where people are like going, I don't know.
If
maybe
attendance doesn't do well on this, it's going to really take they have to take a look at it and be like, ooh, but the attendance will do well.
Okay, so if you're David Beckham, are you paying attention to attendance, and does it worry you if it doesn't sell well?
I would, if I was him, yes, because MLS is not super popular as it is. It is popular in certain regions. It's like MLS is like baseball. Like baseball regionally does pretty well, but nationally does garbage.
Yeah, but these are names. I don't know soccer, and I know both these team names.
Yeah, because Premier League, right? It's Premier League. Is that what that is?
I believe it's
I don't
Premier
freaking know. Anyway,
European.
nobody cares. Anyway, so the situation with that is that it brings a lot of people. Yes. So I mean, if the ratings don't do well on this, if the attendance doesn't do well on this, it's going to be tough for them.
Okay, so expect good attendance.
It should be good attendance.
And expect this to be a favorable statement for that vote in November for that soccer stadium.
For a match that means literally nothing.
Okay, but
this
that
makes
would be
no
the
sense
argument
to
for
me.
Beckham. Be like, look, we got a crowd like that for a match that means nothing. Imagine if we're playing for an MLS championship.
It's going to be a sellout tonight.
Wow.
Okay, all right.
It is.
Diener says it.
Yep.
Just go back to bad contracts before. Worst contract in baseball in history. Bobby Bonilla.
Oh,
That's
my
the
gosh.
one I was trying to think of. Yes.
Million a year? Million a year?
1.19 million every July 1st until 2033.
They're still paying him.
They're still paying till 2033.
Yes.
It's amazing.
That's the
For
one I
him,
was trying to
amazing.
think of.
Bobby Bonilla Day.
Bobby
How
Bonilla.
good- yes,
It is.
that's right. And
July
It's a
1st.
holiday.
we
yeah.
missed it. It was 30 days ago. We missed
It
it.
was.
like,
I'm trying to think of exactly when they started paying him, but it's absolutely unbelievable.
It's got to be a solid 20 years, right? I mean, he was on the 97
Fantastic
World
for him.
Series team.
Oh, he's how cozy is that for him? How
absolutely.
cozy. I mean, imagine the party he has on July 2nd every year.
I mean, yeah, I think they started paying him. Was it 1985?
Yeah.
1985.
It's amazing. It really is. Coming up here in a second, what is the better movie? The Blind Side or Remember the Titans?
There's a right answer to this, in my opinion.
There
don't
is.
think so.
Okay, we'll debate next.
Stop. No. Kevin's other show.
The KVJ.
Don't tell those other guys. 640 The Hurricane.
Okay, on KVJ, we've got the summer movie showdown that we do.
Right. I've seen those. It's very heated debate on Twitter.
Well, it's two different movies going up against each other. And today, since it I was able to sneak in something about sports on that show.
Oh, they let you do it?
Yeah, well, they didn't necessarily let me do it, but it just wound up that way. Figured I'd bring it in here.
There's a reason why you're the K.
Yes.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
The Blind Side versus Remember the Titans. Two pretty excellent football movies. Is there a clear-cut better movie of the two, and why? Diener, you said that this is an easy debate.
Yeah,
I think it kind of is too.
I don't even think this is not an opinion. Remember the Titans is the better movie. It's not an opinion. It's
Remember
the truth.
Titans is the one with Matthew McConaughey, right?
Nope. That's We Are Marshall. You're just trolling me right now, aren't you? I swear.
Okay, why is Remember the Titans a better movie than The Blind Side?
Well, it's
Listen.
more accurate, first of all.
Aside from the ridiculous ending where they just pull off that double reverse and Denzel Washington has a lack of celebration for some reason, they just won the state title. That's the only thing that bothers me about that movie. But otherwise,
I sit in my bed and stare at the ceiling at night.
it's just great. The feeling behind it, the emotion, how they come together. At the time that it was set in 1960s Virginia, it's just a wonderful movie.
Okay, now is that now that also is based on a true story, right? Because
Yes.
I think they took the players and all that kind of stuff. And we don't know. Do we know which one's more accurate? Because obviously,
I believe Remember the Titans is more accurate because I would hope it's more accurate because The Blind Side was so wildly inaccurate.
I think Michael Orr's got issues.
He was pissed. He didn't want the
Yeah.
movie to be released
No, he
because he
hates
was like
the movie.
He was
Yeah.
like this. You made me out to be like a big dummy. Like
Yeah.
I was actually good in school.
Really?
Yeah, he's like I was great in school, but they made it seem like I was this phenomenon. He goes, I've been playing ball since I was like 11. They made it seem like I was just some homeless black dude
That did
just
nothing.
walked onto the football field, and some little white woman was the one that was able to tame me.
Right.
He goes, this
Yeah.
wasn't the story at all.
No, they made up the entire thing. It's really
But
something.
predominantly, yes.
I mean, the
Okay.
only thing that they kept to the truth in that was that he was adopted by that family.
Yes, that is true. But
Yeah.
he had been playing ball since he was a kid. So
Wow,
it
okay.
wasn't just like he was just a big towering human being. They were like, you should play football. That wasn't the way it worked.
Which one is just even better to watch? A part of it for me,
Oh, Blindside.
yeah,
Really?
I
Yeah.
think
It's a better movie.
I think The Blind Side is an easier to watch movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's the whole Remember the Titans where the buddy gets hurt. I don't like that part.
It is tough to watch.
Yeah, I don't enjoy that part of it. The Blind Side, if you can suspend belief of knowing that it's not necessarily the true story. Sandra Bullock in a tight skirt looks fantastic.
It's
Not
also
bad.
good.
It's also got that one signature play. How much do you love it when Big Mike blocks that redneck all the way into the stands? I mean, that's
That
a
is
great.
good.
That's a
That's a
great.
good one.
That's a great scene. What's your scene from Remember the Titans that you're like, man, that's the scene?
Do you remember the Titan scene? The plane, I didn't like that part at all. Like, I just thought the plane crashed. I was just, really out
Will
on
you
that.
stop getting it confused with We Are Marshall? I swear you're trolling. I swear. One of my favorite scenes in Remember the Titans.
The part where
'cause you
Bugs
talk-
Bunny reaches up through the golf hole and
That
tells
is
Bull
Space
Murray
Jam.
down?
No,
Oh.
that's Space
Yeah.
Jam.
My bad.
I love the part personally where Denzel Washington is a coach. Is a coach? What's the name of that coach? The real name that he plays. I forget the name of the coach.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm sitting here arguing that it's the better movie. I can't remember the name of the character. But it's the scene where he goes up to the racist, bigoted coach of the other team
Yeah.
and hands him the banana and says, "Good game, coach," because of the previous scene
Oh,
where
right, yeah.
he's saying all those terrible things about him because, like I said, it was 1960s Virginia.
Jack
And he just-
Langell.
Nope, that's not it.
Okay.
That's
Played
not
by,
it at all.
played by Matthew McConaughey.
Nope, I gonna hit you right in the face on air. But just the fact that he was able to stick it to him like that, I love that scene. And
Okay.
also the scene where they come together at Gettysburg, where they run together and
Yeah.
talks about unity. It's just great stuff. I mean, I can go on and on about this movie.
Yeah, they're both great, but Blindside right now in the Twitter poll winning 53 to 47%.
Oh, come on, people! What are we doing here?
Just because it's an easier to watch movie. I'm
Ryan
just
Gosling.
saying, yeah.
Ryan Gosling started in that movie.
Yeah,
Remember that?
Just saying.
Sunshine. Like, that's an iconic name. People call each other Sunshine. Come on.
What? Who calls each other Sunshine?
People call me Sunshine all the time.
We've done this comparison here already. They do? I didn't know that's your nickname there, Sunshine. Okay, Sunshine. XFL versus AAF. These
Yes.
are the two new football leagues. Now, the XFL 19 years ago was a league that fell apart, but this year apparently they got more financial backing, or at least this time around. I think they got some legit names in it. They've got Oliver Luck in there, who at one time was the, I believe, commissioner for the Big 12. He was on the commission to put the teams in the Final Four.
Right, he was
Andrew
in the
Luck's,
playoff.
Andrew Luck's dad.
It is.
Andrew Luck's
Yeah.
dad. He was a quarterback of West Virginia, was their athletic director for some period of time. He's the commissioner now of this, making $20 million guaranteed, and now they just hired on two NFL coaches. that had some mixed success in the league. John Fox and Jim Caldwell are going to be jumping on to kind of like,
John Fox?
Yep.
He doesn't have a job right now?
No.
He got chased out of Chicago. And
I was
going to
say, wasn't he coaching in Chicago?
Yeah, well, they did really bad. So.
Yeah, Bears and Lions both axed him in January.
Bears are pretty bad,
So they took on roles as consultants right now to try to help prop up the XFL. So they got a couple things that are going for it, but the AAF right now so far, they've got the Steve Spurrier that is in there. Their team in Atlanta. Michael Vick is going to be the offensive coordinator there. I think they've got former NFL coach, it escapes me who it is, going to be their head coach. Kind of going head-to-head, which is going to be the league that's going to survive, or will they both die?
You know what? I think the AAF has a better chance of dying, actually, than the XFL because of the way Vince McMahon is. It's kind of like a live and learn type thing for him. It already failed once. He knows now what he shouldn't do. And you can see he's taking it much more seriously. I mean, you name those Oliver Ross, John Fox, Caldwell.
Is it bad that he brings back a brand that some people are going to remember and not take seriously because they're going to think of the XFL that he brought out the first time 19 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, people are going to have the preconditions to it and think, oh, this is going to be a joke. But, once you see that he's going to be taking it more seriously, I think the XFL, look, it's not going to be a huge mega success that takes on the NFL, but if it can stay around for 10, 15 years and be relevant, I think that'll be a version of success for them.
From what I understand from the fundamental strategies right now, I think there's fault in the XFL because it seems like, again, and they did before 19 years ago, took on the NFL.
Yeah.
Right.
It feels like they're going down that path again. AAF feels more like they're going to be looking for regional talent, like Steve Spurrier wants Tim Tebow to play. Like it would be a minor league for the NFL where regional talent who you knew from those college teams are going to come play. The fundamental strategy of the AAF, if that's really what they're doing versus the XFL, saying we're going to go take on the NFL again, I like the AAF, and I think they got a better chance.
If that's the thought process. That's actually a really good idea.
It's not a bad point where you're saying that they're taking on the NFL more because actually last night they ran a promo, not to go back to wrestling, but while I was at Monday Night Raw last night, they ran a promo for the XFL, and a lot of it was, more fun, less penalties, faster game, and I'm like, okay, so they're
was there
actually
an
going
American
after
flag in there?
No, but I'm surprised it wasn't. So they actually are kind of going after the NFL.
Again.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work out. My favorite line from...
The Blind Side? Or wait, from...
what was the one we were just talking about?
Yeah.
Remember the Titans?
Remember the
Titans, yeah.
Life is like football. It knocks you down, then expects you to get back up and play till the whistle blows. It's a great line from Jack Langell.
That's We Are Marshall!
Matthew McConaughey.
We retweeted it. It's on Kevin's Other Show on Twitter if you want to sound off on what you think is the better move. You can also go follow us while you're there. Find us on YouTube under The KVJ Show, and we've got the podcast as well. Check it out.
You listened to him on the KVJ Show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Wellington Anti-Aging. Low T? Go to WellingtonAntiAging.com. And by Bremen Motor Cars in West Palm Beach. A world-class experience. Shop BremenPorsche.com now. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.